Now?
Yeah.
Is everybody here?
Yeah, that's fine.
So again, yeah, good afternoon, everyone. I want to welcome you to the National Uniform Equipment Survey, PFEW internal webinar. This is obviously the first webinar that we've had since we've done this survey. My name is Zach Mader. I am a National Board Member for the Police Federation of England and Wales, and I co-lead on uniform and body armour. My colleague sitting next to me is...
I'm Dr. Sarish Khan. I'm a social-cultural anthropologist. I'm also the senior researcher here at PFEW. And yes, I'm very happy to be here today after all of our months of hard work with my colleagues at Lancaster University. So yes, very happy to be here and presenting to you all today.
Belinda.
Hi there, yeah, Belinda Goodwin. I'm a National Board Member, Met Officer, and a labour of love with Zach and Sarish, and certainly with Zach over the last 7 or 8 years working in the uniform portfolio, but really happy that we're here to present this to you today.
Thanks. Yeah, it'd be remiss of me not to acknowledge the full collaboration work that we've done with Lancaster University. It's one of the first pieces of work that we've done with some academics, and it's proved really worthwhile. So it's Dr. Camilla DeMarco, Dr. Stephanie Wallace, Lois Fairclough, and Dr. Hughes Shah. And as I say, it has been a labour of love. It's taken some time to do, but we're really grateful for all their hard work and effort and the full collaboration that took place.
Whilst we've got your attention, just for those on the call that don't know about our campaign Copped Enough, there's a thing put up behind. It's there on your screen. This is what our new campaign, what it's done is taken all our campaigns and put them into one, but around pay and conditions. Obviously pay is there, and our Gen Sec is working on that. The condition side of it is looking at the stress, PTSD, suicide, that sort of thing. So if you're not familiar, please familiarise yourself with the Copped Enough campaign, because it's something that you need to get behind for yourselves and for any of your colleagues that are police officers. Thank you.
Thanks, Belinda. In regards to questions, we're going to have 15 minutes at the end of the webinar to be able to ask questions. So if you can just bear them in mind and hold on to them so that we don't stop the spread of the obviously survey about the survey and the webinar. Just so you're aware, each force will have a report that is going to go out to the local branch board, and that's embargoed till tomorrow. All of that information on the forces will also be on PFEW website tomorrow. So from tomorrow, you'll be able to check your individual forces and others, and those are the exact summaries. And there's real value in there. I really appreciate the work that Lancaster did with that will really strengthen arguments and also let you know what our colleagues feel around uniform at a local level. Uniform, why uniform? Because uniform is really important to our members. Wherever we are, whatever force you're in, uniform will be spoken about today. We're also grateful that police staff are able to also be part of this survey. And there are some real long-standing issues regarding uniform that most of us will know about before we even did this survey. But to have the ability to have that academic evidence data is really helpful for us. The next, how we build an evidence base to make the changes that are required in 2025 for our colleagues to be able to do their job to the best of their ability and have a uniform that's fit for form is really important. And then I guess we feel this is a real moment of change with police reform that's currently taking place and a piece of work around uniform. There are some financial restraints within the police service, the opportunity to discuss around procurement, a new uniform lead, information around a large trouser trial that have taken place. So we really genuinely believe that there's a real opportunity to move forward and deal with some of the issues. And it's really important that the individuals that wear uniform have the ability to feed into that discussion. So just I'd like to lead on to Saresh.
So I'm going to talk to you all about some of the key figures and the top headline figures from the results of the survey. I just want everyone to know that everything that we will be discussing here will be available as slide packs to you when you all get your individual force reports from the research team. So just in case you miss out on something I've said, don't worry too much about it. You will have access to all of it tomorrow. So if we just move to the next. Yes. One. Perfect. Thank you. So we had almost 21,000 responses to the uniform survey, which is a really good number. So thank you to all of the officers and staff and members who took out the time to respond to the surveys. It's really helpful when you all do that because it gives us, you know, a rich amount of data for us to be able to come up with valid results thereafter. It was across the 43 forces of England and Wales, and as Zach said, all of you will be getting your individual force reports tomorrow as well. In terms of the distribution between officers and staff, we had 86% officers and 14% staff who responded. And we also had 66% male respondents versus 34% female respondents, which is broadly representative of the federated rank population as a whole. So we were quite happy with that number when we got it. We also had over 43,000 free text responses. So we had a lot of rich qualitative data that we could dig into and really hear your voices about the experiences of wearing the uniform. All right, not surprisingly, majority of the people who responded, which is 56%, indicated that their overall experience of wearing the uniform is rather negative. Now, there's a lot of different factors that come into play as to why people might have said this, which we will cover as we go along further in the slides. But the key thing to note is that it's over half of all of the people who responded to the survey, of the people who wear their uniform every day, have a negative experience of wearing their uniform. We have this map here, which shows us that there is a great deal of variation in the overall experience of wearing uniform across all of the different forces. Just to illustrate this, one of the key examples that stood out to me was the difference between, let's say, North Yorkshire and South Yorkshire, where South Yorkshire reported 72% of people who had an overall negative experience of wearing their uniform, versus North Yorkshire, who only had 29% who reported a negative experience of wearing the uniform, which makes you think, why is there such a stark difference between the two? To be fair, the overall experience, if you look at all of these numbers, it is negative, but you can just see that it's more so for some rather than others, which kind of indicates to us that there's this almost like a postcode lottery system in place when it comes to wearing the uniform, or which uniform kit you're going to have access to or receive based on your location or which force you're a part of. And we'll talk about this in further detail as well as we go along. Next slide, please. So I'm not going to go into too much detail on this slide, but I just wanted to point out that the most problematic uniform items that we found were the cargo trousers, the general purpose trousers, the body armor, and the utility belt. And like I said, you will have access to this and you can go through it in further detail as and when.
If I can, just on, clearly we're we're aware of the ongoing issues with trousers that has been a perennial problem for many years. A trouser trial of 13 forces from Blue Light Commercial has just completed. It's been about 8 months. They've got it down to the preferred choice of supplier. I think it's really important that the learning is taken from the forces that were involved in that trial. Every force had that opportunity to be part of the trial and have their officers to be able to trial that. I've been sent the 2 preferred options. I know you've seen them as well. Definitely better, definitely fit for purpose, definitely taking on board what colleagues have been saying, and we'll discuss it later, some of the health issues and how that affects people's well-being. But really in 2025 has taken this time to get a trouser that is fit for purpose is quite staggering. And so it really is upon us to drive these messages home for you.
Yes. Let's go to the next slide. Right. Now, one of the key things that we focused on in the survey was to find out how the uniform performs in terms of both fit and functionality, because we know that the uniform it's a key part of the job. Officers and staff, it's a requirement of the job. They wear it every day. So it's really important that the uniform is able to do what it's supposed to do, that it needs to be fit for purpose. And again, not surprisingly, we found that the majority of people who responded to the survey, so over 50%, said that they don't find the uniform fit for purpose. This is problematic because one of the things that the key thing for us is that we believe that the uniform, it should be fit for purpose, fit for form, and fit for the future. And if the uniform is not doing that, then it's not serving the purpose that it needs to. We also had some more key stats from this, which was we had 64% of respondents who say that the uniform restricts their movement. We also asked a range of weather-related questions. So 74% said that the uniform does not keep them cool in the summer. 40% said that the uniform does not keep them warm in the winter. And 62% said that the uniform is not waterproof. And as we all know, living in the UK, where it rains so much, that's really, really important. Again, majority of the respondents, 57%, don't think that they are wearing good quality clothing, and 46% don't think that they're wearing durable clothing. So quality and durability obviously are problematic when it comes to uniform.
I think what's really loud and clear is that the most basic of things, keeping people warm when it's cold, keeping our members cool when it's warm, keeping them dry when it's wet. And I guess what normally happens is uniform tries to cover for all of that eventualities, and it doesn't. So what you have is maybe a fleece that maybe tries to do the best of both worlds, and actually it doesn't. Or you have a inner layer that puts another layer onto clothes, which causes issues with that internally, and then body armor on top. So these are pretty basic things that we've known from a local level, and we're told from our leads in uniform. But actually having this quantifiable evidence that didn't have leading questions to be able to back it up was really important.
Just on that note as well, I think the functionality as well is very important, and that's what stood out for me is around the officer safety. Because if I cannot be functional in my uniform and I'm worried about bending over or getting into a scrap or jumping over a wall, etc., exactly what we have to do on a day-to-day basis, that's an issue. So thanks, Darish.
Next slide, thank you. Again, not surprisingly, we had over 3/4 of respondents who agreed that most uniform decisions are based cost. A lot of the respondents used the word cheap when they were describing the quality and the materials that were used, and that's really worrying to hear, because obviously we don't want officers on the field to feel that they're wearing cheap clothing, and it works both ways. So one, having cheap or not good quality clothing will obviously it has an impact on an officer's morale and how they feel, and we're going to talk about the perceptions of wearing uniform further down in the presentation. But it also affects the public's perception of policing and uniformed officers. So that was quite an alarming stat.
I think if I can as well, things that certainly at a local level that have been brought out is that generic operational officers have uniform that they feel isn't fit for purpose, yet they see different departments or different roles within their police service with different kit that seems to be or appears to be of a higher quality depending on what specialist option. This isn't a pot shot at anyone. I'm just saying that is crystal clear that the uniform that response officers get and they see individuals from other departments is also really damaging, because it affects people's value and how they feel the organisation looks at them. So I think that's a really important factor, and that plays into cost, which is what people think it is about.
Yeah. We also wanted to capture uniform-related well-being. So we asked questions around both physical well-being as well as mental well-being. One of the key stats that stood out the most from the survey was the fact that 1 in 5 respondents said that the uniform has negatively impacted their mental well-being. Now, that's not a small figure.
No.
So imagine, like, there's 5 people in this room right now, and at least one of us would have been negatively affected by the uniform. So that's quite an alarming figure. And even when it comes to physical well-being, and we also asked how the uniform has affected someone's relationship with their body. And for both, 38% of people agreed that it had a negative impact on them. And for both mental well-being and emotional well-being, it was 1 in 5 that said that the uniform had had negative impact on them. What I also want to point out is that if you look at the stats, there will be, for both mental well-being and emotional well-being, there's around almost 50% of people who said that they were neutral about it. Yeah. And one of the things that we saw even from the qualitative comments was that perhaps the reason why so many people said that they're neutral about it is because of the policing culture that and we'll talk about this when we talk about sick leave and things as well, is that there's very much this culture of, oh, let's not complain and get on with the job. So I think that might have a role to play in it as well.
I think what's really important, I don't know if it's too small on the screen, but just one of these quantitative comments where someone says, I'm ignored no matter how many times I raise the matter. Yeah. I'm put at risk every day, despite highlighting this on numerous occasions, no action is taken. I feel as though my well-being and welfare is completely disregarded and I'm not important. And that feeds into how people feel they're valued within the organisation. Yeah. And this is really, really important. We know the challenges that our colleagues have with well-being, and obviously Belinda does a lot of work with well-being and some other colleagues. This absolutely plays into how people feel about going to work and having to wear a uniform. But I think it also plays into individuals maybe wanting to leave that role as soon as they can because of the uniform issues. Come out of uniform, or even be something that would put them off from going to maybe other roles because of a uniform. So this can really impact on people's progression or where they may want to go. But uniform is that important, and that's what we're being told, that it can stop people from putting themselves forward to different roles as well. Thank you.
Now, when we asked questions around physical health, we made sure to differentiate between males versus females, and I'm going to start talking about it generally, and then I'm going to hand over to you, B. But we found that there was almost 9 in 10 of female respondents who reported at least one physical health condition that was either caused by or made worse by wearing uniform. And that's a remarkable figure. That's, I mean, for me as well as an academic, when I see that, that's alarming. And it was the same for men. So there was around 6 in 10 of all male respondents who said that they had at least one physical health condition that was either caused or made worse by wearing the uniform. And if we look at it from an overall perspective, it was still more than half of all respondents, 57%, who said the same. And 40% said that they had experienced these health conditions almost every day of wearing their uniform, and that's crazy, really, because they have to wear the uniform every day. And so if they experience these issues every day, then over time, obviously, that can be really problematic.
I think it's mind blowing that nearly one, you know, as you say, some of these percentages that you're going into work and the uniform that you're given to be able to do your job is causing associated issues for so many people. And that is really staggering. That's what I found really quite mind blowing that people are having. So can you imagine how people feel as they're getting ready to go to work or after rest days, and the thought of going into a cycle of 4 days and knowing that there are associated issues when they're having to wear this uniform is mind blowing to me.
I'm now going to hand over to Belinda to talk about the next slide.
So, female experience health conditions. I have worn the uniform for many years, and some of these are, I'd say, I definitely relate to most of these. And actually, reflecting on and looking at the work that we have done, actually, I did put up with it. I remember being numbed down below from the trousers, certainly tighter at certain months, times of the month. And obviously there are officers that have really bravely come out and said, and I think it is brave, and any of you that have responded to this survey, I do thank you again. But to say that, you know, the UTI and certainly the thrush issues and the digging in issues, certainly the numbness around the breast from the body armour is definitely something I can certainly relate to. And it's like I said, it's not just that physical issue when you're having to keep going and getting antibiotics maybe or treatment for a condition, is having to go and tell your supervisor, you know, how embarrassing is that? And who actually wants to go sick or, you know, wants to put down the sickness is because of the trousers are real fitting, or, you know, the body armour has made me quite sick. So, and certainly, like I said again, at certain times of the month, perimenopausal, we know we all, a lot of females are bloating out, and that's not, there's no alleviation throughout the month for that. So it's a real issue. But just looking at this, just in its entirety, just around the females, again, 2025, and we're seeing issues like this, it's unacceptable. So over to Zach to talk about the men's health.
Yeah, thanks. And what I really appreciated in this survey, not only people taking the time to do it, was the honesty of some of the comments and some of the problems that we've seen. It was really quite sad to hear what people were going and some of the health conditions that they were having to suffer and how that affects them outside of work, not only when they're in work. So I think what it did, it gave a voice for maybe some colleagues that may have already spoken to you know, supervisors, linemans of stores and said these are the issues. But if they haven't, they've given us the opportunity to speak on their behalf, which I think is really important. You know, we know the perennial issue with trousers, males that have had, you know, some real, you know, bruise, squashed testicles, torsions, and, you know, people we have to make them, people may think it's funny. It's not funny. These aren't funny issues when colleagues are writing on a survey that they have crushed testicles or they have bruise or rips on their vaginas. This is just absolutely unacceptable. And I think the real drive in seeing some of these stuff and what people have said has just really spurred us on to do what we can. But I don't think for 1 minute the service wants individuals having to go through this. I don't think it is all about the money, but it's about what we can do to make sure that the messages are loud and clear and that there needs to be change in uniform. And I think it is around giving individuals who have to wear the uniform absolutely having the voice into that. And I think that's what really important. But some of the issues of females and men's, and we're going to have these slides anyway, so we won't go too far into it because we want to give people the opportunity for questions. But as you can see, really quite disappointing to see what people are having to deal with on a daily basis. And of course, you know, in regards to men's health and that, it's, you know, testicle health is really important in regards to fertility and things like that, and that's often forgotten as well. So there's a number of different factors as well as for our female colleagues. Over to you.
Yeah. All right. So now we can see that there are people who raise complaints with their line manager about their uniform. So there was 36% of respondents who said that they have raised a complaint. But the issue is that out of those that raise a complaint, there's 69% of them where no action is taken. So that's, and it almost, to me, when I read this, that's clearly like a cycle. It's like, why would you raise a complaint if no one's going to do anything about it? And we as PFEW, like, we really want to take this and move forward with this, because for us, we want our members' voices to be heard, and we want for there to be tangible change. You know, if they raise a complaint, if they have issues with their uniform, we want them to be heard. So that was quite an interesting stat.
And if I can, so I think what's really important is we keep on, and it was my colleague Linda that came up with this, fit for form, not just fit for purpose, fit for form, and that's everybody's individual form. But that doesn't mean to say you necessarily get the Gucci kit that you may want, or someone may want a certain brand. It's around getting kit that is absolutely fit for form. And I think sometimes brands don't help us because people tie themselves to a brand and say they're brilliant. You look at the price, that automatically is not something that is feasible. It is around getting things that are trousers and uniform that's absolutely fit for purpose, and moving away from the brand, but making sure if it's trouser that it does exactly what it's supposed to do, which is lend itself to an individual to be able to perform their duties as 24/7 officer.
And there's a real argument for why we should invest in better quality uniform, not just because, someone, you know, people are quite dismissive of, I'm feeling a certain way, but clearly we can see now from the next slide, the stat is that there is an operational need for having better uniform, because we've had 1 in 20 people who've had to take sick leave as a direct result of wearing the uniform. That's, you know, that's alarming. And also, again, I mentioned this earlier as well, talking about the police culture. There's 48% of people who said that even though the uniform did affect them negatively, they didn't actually take time off work because of it. So we have people out there on the field who are suffering, really, but they're just trying to do their job, and they're not being supported to do their job because of their uniform. So that's one of the key issues here. Can we go on to the next slide, I think? Right. We also asked about uniform access and stores. So we had again, half of all respondents who said that finding replacement or new uniform was somewhat or extremely difficult. Even for those people who did get access to their uniform, they had to wait at least 19%. So that's nearly 1 in 5 had to wait over 3 months for their replacement uniform. So even though, let's say, some action was taken, they still have to go a period of 3 months enduring and suffering with their uniform, which is just not good enough. And even though 56% of them did visit stores, 32% could not find items in their size. So they've got this new uniform, but it doesn't fit them well. So again, it's not fit for purpose. It's not fit for form. And there was also this lack of knowledge around how they could get uniform access, and we had, like, let's say 1 in 10 of all of those who responded didn't know that you could go to a store. Some of them said that it was no longer an option to go to a store, and 8% said that they were not allowed to go to the stores in person.
On top of that, sorry, it's just some of the qualitative, the comments that we've got as well throughout the survey around uniform access in stores was, and I remember this quite well. Before we went to like a point system, we'd go to stores, and it's some officers said the stores, people in the stores dishing out the uniform acted like it was theirs, and they actually felt quite, like a naughty child asking for some uniform sort of thing. And I thought that had long gone, but obviously throughout this survey, from this question, it's still in existence. And I find that quite sad, actually, that you're out there, keeping the public safe, trying to do the best you can, and you're getting stressed or anxious about going to stores to ask for a new shirt because you've got blood all over the last one, or it's been contaminated, or it's gone for evidence, whatever, it's ripped. But that I find really quite staggering, that we're still in that sort of position with some stores. Not saying all at all, but just that one of the comments was quite, and it just reminded me back in the day that what I remember going through. So it's just about that culture change and about that different approach.
If I can, I think it's around, once again, you'll see it on virtually every page of the postcode lottery. How different forces do it differently, even if there's some kind of collaboration. It could be point system, it could be a catalogue system. Not everyone's afforded the opportunity to have it measured. So but it's not lost on me. Some of the measurements aren't aligned to the high street, so that probably sometimes get sizes that maybe aren't the right size, because if you're a size 10 or you're 32, you don't want to have to get a 36. And some of that has played into some of the associated issues. So I think individuals sometimes get carried away with uniform as well. So if someone, and it's really important way around, if one person has one thing, everyone on the shift wants one thing as well. So there's always got to be that gatekeeping. But you just want a system that kind of lends itself to make it as easy as possible when uniform is needed. And I think some consistency around that would be really helpful for not only colleagues, but for also stores.
Absolutely.
To be able to provide that service.
Yeah, definitely.
We also asked questions around how people feel when they're wearing the uniform. And objectively, if you look at this, you might think, oh, it's not all that bad, where you have half of the people who responded say they felt that they look professional, but let's bear in mind you also have half that said that they don't. And so we want a number where all members equally feel that they look professional. So instead of having, let's say, 47% who feel proud, we want to have almost all members can say that they feel proud to wear the uniform every day. And we had 34% of people who said that they don't feel that they look smart. And when you're out on the field, on the ground, you want to be able to look professional, look smart, be taken seriously. You're doing such a hard job anyway. The last thing you want to do is to feel like self-conscious or uncomfortable.
Yes.
So it's really important to factor that into account when discussing the uniform.
It gives us authority as well, doesn't it? I mean,
exactly.
You put your uniform on, that is, you're telling yourself who you are, and you're telling the members of the public you're interacting with who you are. So it's that authority as well, and that comes with feeling professional, I think.
All right. Lastly, we asked people what their thoughts were on introducing a national uniform. What we can see here is that we had almost half of all respondents who agreed that there should be a national standardized uniform. And we had 34% that were neutral. But what's important to bear in mind is that the people who said that they were neutral because it would depend on improvements to quality, improvements to comfort, and whether or not the uniform that they were getting is suitable for the role. So if we factor that into account, we could safely say that the majority are pro the idea of getting a national uniform, which would be really good in terms of addressing things like the postcode lottery system that we spoke about earlier, and it would establish a sense of fairness and cohesion, where all officers are treated with equity, which is what we ultimately want. And so based off of all of this, we based on the results of the survey, we concluded with 5 key set of recommendations, which I will now leave Zach and Belinda to talk about, which kind of sum up not just findings from the survey, but what happens next.
And just in regards to national uniform debate, I mean, this isn't about having your force badge or whatever you want to represent, or what the chief would want taking that decision away. This is around having uniform that absolutely maintains a higher standard for everybody. So you're not having a force, be it in South Wales, that has some really nice trousers and then Went has a nice top. We want to get away from that. There's so many collaboration groups as well that work together with different kit, and there are some real opportunities around savings. And savings for a national uniform doesn't mean savings that leave uniform. It means savings that are invested in to make sure that we're constantly ahead of new innovation around uniform. I'll start with the first one, if that's okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the first recommendation reads set national minimum standards. National, so it should be the highest minimum standards. When people see minimum, they obviously get the wrong impression. It is the highest possible minimum standards that we think every piece of uniform and equipment should have. And that would be a massive piece of work when we look at the amount of different suppliers of uniform. It needs to absolutely focus on the functionality, the comfort, the role-based flexibility, operational effectiveness, how people identify themselves. And I think it's really important that more and more colleagues are far more aware of where it's ethically sourced from, that things like that are really important to them, be they vegan, environment is really important as well. Making sure that if we get uniform from a country in Asia, that material hasn't been, or the uniform isn't made in sweat boxes, so people, colleagues are far more aware of that.
Yeah.
So it's about that ethical and environmental part of uniform as well, which is really, really important. I think having a that standard, the highest minimum standard, would lend itself to a national uniform. Anyway, it would make that process far easier, making sure that there is absolutely enough flex in the supply line to make sure that there is always supply. So it isn't just putting all your eggs in one basket. But I think that is the first piece of work that needs to happen, is to make sure that there is standardisation of the highest level on everything that individuals have to wear.
And for me, it's coming recommendation too. The way that is going to happen is by setting up the strategic uniform board, the subs. We certainly, Zach and I have sat on the National Uniform Working Group certainly since I come in. Jack was a bit before, but 2018, that's had many different chairs. The last couple of years, we've had a civilian member of staff that was chairing that meeting from the Met, and has since moved on. We've now got Dan Ivey from the Met that's going to be leading this, but this has to be a board that has got the right people within that board, not just the ticky box. We've got a board and we're going to set the standards, and this is about getting them right people in there. And as you can see on there, it's about having reps from the police, Fed, Unison, GMB, and EDI, health and sustainability experts that are in there, so they can help shape and make sure we're procuring from the right places. And frontline officers and staff, your voice matters. Your voice has to be heard in this. So, for instance, say you take this piece of work on board for your force, why not set up a forum within your force and get officers to actually come in and put notes on them forums to say, this is how my uniform is affecting me, or good or bad, or set up little workshops. But it's about you engaging, because it's the officers that are out there wearing the uniform day in, day out, and staff, that we're going to get this informed, the information to this strategic uniform board that will then enforce recommendation 1, and that will start that national minimum standard. So that's why we came up with that recommendation 2.
Yeah, 3 I've virtually covered 3 already in some of the things I said in 1, but it is around transforming procurement and the supplier relationship. I mean, I've always thought that policing was a dream for suppliers, but I'm led to believe that it's not, because when they want it, they want it, and when they don't want it, they don't want it, or however much they get. And there's so many different routes to market, so many different suppliers. Actually, they're not concerned around 25,000 wicking tops, the massive savings and how you can get that money invested in is getting 150,000. And so the model that we have, sometimes getting things not as cheap as possible, but focusing on that financial envelope, that sometimes has to be the case because of the separate ways that some forces buy uniform. We feel that there's a real area for transformation with procurement and the relationship with our suppliers that in the past have just given us what we want because we haven't asked for anything else, because that's what we get.
Yeah. So number 4, improved access, fitting and logistics. This is such a postcode lottery throughout forces. And what we've seen is, it doesn't matter whether the bigger the force or the smaller the force, it's still quite hit and miss about what this refitting or what the fitting looks like, because it's not done as a normal thing within a lot of forces. But it must be consistent and responsive and inclusive, and it should be about providing accessible fitting and refitting appointments. We all know what it's like out there, demand and capacity. You go to your sergeant and say, I've got to go to stores the other side of London. I'm talking from a Met perspective, and he's like, I can't afford to lose you on an early term. We've got so many on the OI. I get it. But we've got to start investing and looking and making sure this happens. Certainly after maternity leave, I've heard of officers coming back after having several children and not even being called back to get a refit for their uniform, let alone their body armour. That's got to stop. Establish uniform wardrobes or try-on hubs at main stations. Let's be smart about it. It's not just a static area. It could be that your uniform services could come out to you. Yeah. It's not impossible. It can be done. And offer digital portals for reordering and tracking and feedback. That could be an idea. If you have had really terrible experience or good experience at your stores, you should be able to feed that back. because it's all about learning, isn't it? It's all about us talking to each other and learning. And you know, ensure sufficient allocation of core items. That's certainly around trousers and your shirts, and certainly your body armour.
Yeah.
And what we would like to see is stores staff must be trained in EDI. I mean, we're not talking about you know, got to be experts around that equality and diversity, but have a knowledge of and be aware of trauma-informed approaches and occupational health considerations. So it's not hard. This isn't difficult. So that's why that came into and was one of our recommendations. Over to use that for the last one.
Yeah, the final one is about embedding continuous feedback and accountability. I think this is really, really an important one. That's what's the last one. To absolutely be able to review uniform on a regular basis, not just this is what we've got and this is what we're always going to have until we tie it down to years contract, because that's what we can get the price for. It's really important that there is that continuous feedback. Introducing anonymous feedback, making sure that that there is a matrix, a satisfactory, unsatisfactory matrix around uniform and how that makes people feel. That could be fed into local wellbeing surveys. Ensure, I think this is also really important, a complaint process that doesn't stigmatise individuals who have to say there's an issue. So actually, if there are some challenges, some health challenges around or medical challenges around the uniform you're wearing, you have to speak to your supervisor, to then particularly you have to go to Occy Health, to then go to stores. There are numerous individuals that you have to speak around, and sometimes these are really quite personal medical issues for our colleagues. So we feel that there's a better way of doing that, and making sure that there is an annual quality report around uniform. I think it's really important, so it can show that it isn't just being forgotten. Uniform is something that is always moving on, and just because there's a piece of uniform that's fit for form now or purpose, in a year's time it may not be, because there is something else that that has come along and better. The last closing statement before we go for questions, because I know we're running out of time, and I'll read this out because I think it kind of spells it. This is a survey that makes it clear uniform really does matter. It affects not only appearance but also performance, safety, health and well-being. Officers and staff are calling for meaningful change. This is a crucial moment on national reform. Police uniform must be fit for purpose, fit for form and ready for the future. And I think that basically sums up what we need to be focusing on moving forward. We're a couple of minutes over, but we're open for some questions. If anyone's got any questions, please feel free. Yeah.
So I can bring the one.
Yeah, please.
So we've got Jazz on the screen. Jack.
Hi, Jack.
Hi, Jack.
Unmute yourself, Jack.
Otherwise, are there any questions when Jack's trying to sort out that we can answer?
Should be able to.
Can't get Jack, maybe we can move to another one. You can send that question in to us. There's another hand up, Nicola.
Go on, Nicola.
We don't have family
They're not
screen.
able to unmute, sorry.
Oh, she's all right. Hello, can you hear me?
Hiya. Hi, Nicola.
Hi, thanks for the information. That was really helpful. So yeah, I just have it's kind of I'll outline the circumstances very quickly because there's a lot of people in my position. So I've got 20 years service, recently got back to uniform. Obviously suffering from endometriosis and perimenopause, asked for some alternative lightweight trousers. I was advised that I need to get a letter from a GP before they would issue me any alternative uniform. So I've checked the legality of this, and they are actually entitled to ask for a letter from the GP. However, in the interim, where do myself and all my other colleagues stand that are in the same position? Are we just forced to wear the uncomfortable uniform until we have a letter from our GP, which has gone through Occy Health and back to clothing stores, which can obviously take quite a few months?
Absolutely, and you highlight, which is exactly the issue that we're talking. So, you know, you try and get a doctor's appointment so we're wasting doctor's time. There is an issue that needs to be dealt with. You're saying that you need some assistance. The uniform is causing some issues, and then there appears to be gatekeepers at every opportunity. And this is exactly what, at a local level, needs to change. So that
Yeah, I don't know if you're aware, but actually GPs legally cannot recommend to occupations. They can't give recommendations because they don't know what the material is that we're requesting. They don't know. So I just wanted to know in the interim, what are we meant to do? Are we forced to wear the uniform, or what? Where do we stand legally?
I mean, certainly as an equality question there, but what I was suggesting, I mean, this is why we need these subs, these local subs, so you could be able to go there and just overcome that issue. Personally, what I would do is I would ask to, I don't know, are you operational, are you outside? Are you response?
No, I'm not operational, but I do have to go to events and wear uniform, if that makes sense. So I don't wear the stab vest, it's just the...
In all honesty, I wouldn't wear the uniform until that's a reasonable adjustment. I will be saying to my line manager, I can't go to these events because I can't wear my uniform until this issue is resolved. But like Zach said again,
thank you.
I mean, this is exactly what we mean by the stigmatisation of a health condition, and actually, you know, when we just roll it back, what you're saying is, I just need some uniform that is going to help me to do my job better, which is going to provide better value for the public purse. And it is because of this sometimes other departments, other units in forces have different kit, and there's a cost difference. But absolutely, I mean, I'm happy to maybe if you could ping an email into us, Nicola, that'd be really helpful. If you ping something in,
if you can, Nicola.
Of course.
We can try and touch base at a local level.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, send that in and we'll do what we can for you, Nicola. But
thank you so much. Thanks. I have actually outlined all of this to the force as well, but obviously they're not for budging, hence I thought I'd ask the question. But thank you. I'll definitely
just
send
show
you an
them
email.
this video.
Yeah.
Show them this webinar.
I know. I've got some
Thanks, Nicola.
Thank you so much. Take care.
Was there a question around what can we expect from local branches?
We definitely saw that.
There's a couple of questions in the chat. I don't know if you can see.
No, please find a way with some of them for us so we can answer if possible.
Are you going to complete an equality assessment to look into the impact changes might have?
There'll always be an equality impact
absolutely.
Done on anything that we get involved with. So someone else has got their hand up.
And what we want to make sure is that these quality impact assessments just don't become a tick box exercise.
No, it's got to be
a framework that says yes. There's far more emphasis needed on our EAs.
I'm going to try and bring Jack back in.
He's desperate, isn't he?
And there was a question around what can we expect from local Fed.
Yeah, just while I was waiting for Jack to come off mute, there definitely was a question in there about what can you do. So what can you do is to take your force reports and look at the recommendations as well, and go back to your forces. If you're part of the clothing board, you're a Fed rep, and you're really interested in this area, go back and say, these are the recommendations. How can we implement these recommendations within my force? That is exactly what we want you to do. And this is why we've done this work around that. So just look, that's what our ask is. Take these recommendations and go back to force. Jack, I think you can...
Also, if I can, just on that one, I think it's really important to know that we've had for a while, but we've set up, invigorated a new uniform group within the Federation of England Wales. So we've got most of the branches are on that, and so we'll be feeding straight into them, assisting how to take this forward, because this is a moment in time. There's there's police reform. They're looking at uniform. They want to save money, but we don't think they should be saving money. There's a current budget for £600,000 from the Science, Technology, Home Office, focusing on the next generation of uniform. We absolutely have to be involved in that piece of work, because what we get time and time again is individuals that are using and wearing uniform often are the last people to hear and just get uniform given.
Yeah.
We need to magnify the voice of individuals that are having to wear that uniform.
Yeah.
And that's really, really important. So there will be leads from each branch, and it's absolutely something that we want to make sure that we're leading by example here and assisting at a local level in regards to uniform. Jack, sorry.
No, thank you very much. Sorry, I didn't mean to speak over anyone earlier. I couldn't get my mic on. So thank you for all the effort you put in. I've heard from you all, and obviously there's been a tremendous amount of effort put in. But it is a very general question, and I don't expect someone to put their hand up and say, "Oh yeah, definitely." Sort of more of an idea, really. But when I joined my force, I suppose you could say I was quite lucky in the sense of you got a black anorak and you got all 3 yellow jackets. And now I've got a student, and I did have a student actually is gone on to something else now. But believe it or not, what they're being issued now is they're being issued the smallest possible, most lightweight yellow jacket and a little blouson. And if you're stuck on scene somewhere on scene guard or an RTC, that's absolutely unacceptable. That's not right. And to get a bigger yellow jacket, believe it or not, like a traffic jacket, every force calls them different. You have to get an inspector's authorisation. And when he said this,
you met Jack?
No, Suffolk actually, Suffolk. Yeah, and when he said all this, I thought this can't be right, can it? Surely, wouldn't it be great if every force sort of had to issue not exact same stuff? That'll never happen. But like, how can it be right that someone's not being issued big jackets for when they're on operation? It can't be right, can it?
And Jack, you're exactly right. And this isn't an actual, this isn't a pot shot at specialist units whatsoever. So they're having kit that's appropriate. Absolutely, that's right and proper. So why is it that others are? So why is it that if you're a response officer, you could be standing out somewhere for 12 hours in the rain, that there isn't that investment? And I guess from a procurement point of view, there is opportunities if you know the bigger buying power we can get. But ultimately, if people aren't being kept dry when it's wet, how do you expect them to the best of their duties? So absolutely, uniform needs to be really standardised. It needs to be absolutely fit for purpose, sun, rain, snow, wind, whatever. And what we see is we see that there is a real multitude of there's some really good pieces of uniform and kit that some forces have. Yeah. But there's very few forces. I mean, the City of London was something that we didn't have too much of an uptake from that, but they're known to have really good quality kit. And be quite happy with that. But this isn't a nice to do. This is an absolute have to do, because you're investing in individuals that are providing the service whilst most of the rest of us are sleeping that aren't doing this yet. So
it's the first thing you get given as a probation, as a newbie. It's the first thing they give you, actually. You know, all obviously the information and the training, but physically give you is your kit. And I remember picking my kit up in my big black Metropolitan bag, and I was so excited, you know, and this is where it's just eroded over time. So, but thanks, Jack. We'll if you're
thank you all.
All right, thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you.
No, thanks, Jack. Oh, anything on the question, Bob? Thank you.
Kerry. Go on, Kerry.
Hi, Kerry.
Hi, everyone. It's just a bit of a niche question, really, for any mounted units. I don't know if there's anyone from any mounted units that has participated in this webinar, but I'm doing quite a bit of work at the minute. I'm one of the sergeants within the Greater Manchester Police Mounted Unit, and we've had a bit of an issue with our PSU pads. I don't know whether that's been brought up. I was late in joining this, so I'm sorry if you've already covered any of this.
No, I haven't, but I'm aware. I used to link in with obviously the mounted section, aware of the helmet and how problematic it is from one supplier in America, but also PSU kit in general, and the mounted sections working at height, and this generally generic uniform. So having generic uniform but working at height, so it is absolutely something that is really important, and we're gonna kind of collapse mounted into generic uniform, because there are some really nuanced issues. And what we know is that our mounted sections are in the heart of public order, quite often, aren't they? And so it's really, really important. So once again, happy to take this offside. I was linking in with a colleague in the Met around this.
I've had some. I've basically been given the task to keep an eye on the recent review that was done. I'm not sure whether you're aware of it or not, but it's the Huddersfield University that attended some mounted units across the country, and they've done some research into how it affects our like ergonomics and things. Yeah. So I could probably help you with some documents and some research and things about that.
Thanks, Kerry.
So yeah, I was linking in with Leon, or as he calls himself, Rick Astley, who was TVP, but now the Met around us. So it is a real issue. So yeah, happy to if you can ping an email, then happy to link in with you, especially if you're going to be taking that up. Okay,
yeah, I will be just from our force level, because as you say, the issue is that we all have different kit in different units in different forces, and I understand that will always be the case, but for me at the minute, our lower leg PSU pads, all we're given is the standard foot ones. Now, they cover the front of your legs. They cover the front of your legs, and except it's the sides of our legs that are exposed. So we need a different shape. So what we're finding is we've got photographs of our legs that have got bruises, on the inside of your knees and stuff. And you're talking like 3-4 hours sometimes that we're in saddle for, so it's a long time.
No, definitely link in with her. You'll have our details, so definitely email us in and we'll do what we can.
Brilliant.
Thanks, Kerry. Thank you.
And no problem. Any last questions? Burning questions in?
There's 2 more hands.
Oh yeah, fine. As long as people have yeah. Hi, Michael.
Hello there. Can you hear me?
Yeah, yes, mate, right?
Oh, fantastic. Very good. We've got a query about level 2 pads again. So public order pads. City of London have got lovely new ones. They've been saying for years we're going to get comfortable public order pads, and we haven't. Is there going to be anything more done around that? We're Met, yeah.
Yeah.
How did you know?
We sound the same. We're not sure, but we can link you in. I can link you in with the Met Fed to see who's going to. Niven Polar is our new equality lead on Met Fed, so it's something we can maybe link you in with there. But Steve Taylor lives on our public order, so we can do a bit of work again. We can take it off.
Okay, thank you.
All right, cheers, Michael.
Do you want to do one more?
Yeah, one more.
Yeah.
John,
Peter.
Lindsay, do you want to unmute?
Hi, Lindsay. Can you hear us, Lindsay?
Oh, sorry, can you hear me?
Yes,
we can do.
Oh, yeah, thanks, Sir. I was just wondering, in regards to the stab vest and the percentage causing issues with breast tissue, I'm aware that our force has done some trials regarding different ones. Is there any way to see like what other forces have done and what they found best, and just kind of see what the range is across the forces?
What we've done, Lindsay, so Zach and I have been very integral in the Gen 3 body armour. I don't know what force are you?
Avon and Somerset.
Okay, so I don't, whether they've issued or everyone's got access to the Gen 3, but what we did do, and certainly Zach, right from the outset when we were involved in all the requirements that we set out as a federation, we wanted something female, male shaped, lighter and more protection. So the Gen 3 does offer that. So we've got female shaped body armour that's slightly lighter, and it's got an SKR if wanted protection around the neck and under the arms, supplementary knife. Now a lot of forces haven't taken this up, or they have taken it up without the SKR, because you can take that out. But there is definitely now, Lindsay, better body armour for the female form. Went through extensive trials. I was part of the human factor trials, went on for a week. There was women of different shapes and sizes and men. We got them to do everything operational, and the best body armour one, which is the Gem 3. So we've done loads of extensive work. There was some work that we paid quite a bit of money for about 10 years ago with an academic who, there was some worry or concern about the underwire bra interoperability with the body armour, and there was maybe some concern around breast cancer. That seemed to be, there was no evidence of that, but what we did see was women preferred to wear a more tight sports bra. But what I would say as well, we're going wrong as women as well. We're not getting the right fit bra. We're just not. And certainly we should be refitted every year. It's something we would encourage. The Army do it. The Army provides sports bras. I did put a business case in, and Zach, to the Uniform Working Group, looking for a bespoke sports bra. Unfortunately, didn't get anywhere, but that's not to say it's going to be part of our vision going forward. But there is, and we can take it again offline and send you all the details, but there has been a lot and extensive work around that. It's true to my heart. I've had 2 operations on my right breast, nearly lost it. And I'm convinced it was down to the body armour, although there's no real proof of that. But that's where my journey with body armour and uniform began. So anything we can do, you've got our details. And
yeah, we're really happy to touch base to see what body armour you're trialling and what options are there. There aren't that many suppliers that will be, so we will be aware of it. And happy to link in with yourself and then the feds at a local level. So yeah, please get in contact with us. And then if you get in contact with us, we absolutely will get back to you.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And thanks so much for today. It's been really interesting. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Lindsay.
Is there one more question? Is there a burning question, or is everyone fine?
There's only 3 people left.
Yeah. Do you want to do?
Have they got their hands up?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. As long as people are happy.
That's 3 people that have got their hands up.
Perfect. Yeah. Perfect. Yes.
Michael.
That was Michael from before. Yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah, we've already spoken to him.
Right, he's still there. John Knights.
Hi, John.
Hello, can you all hear me?
Yes, you can.
Brilliant. Thank you for today. Really, really good information. I'm really young in service, so I'm going to ask a question that's probably really basic and I should know the answer to, but I'm going to ask it anyway. So I've had to buy some kit because the kit I've been issued just isn't kind of up to standard. I've been told I can't wear it. Where do I stand with that moving forward?
Well, you can't wear it. You can't if you're buying your own kit.
Can't.
The force. What force are you?
Cumbria.
Okay. The kit is provided. There are some real challenges around individuals buying their own kit, and if it's trousers, if from a health and safety point of view, we would strongly suggest that people don't have to or don't feel because uniform isn't fit for purpose for them that they're having to do that. We know it happens, but it does leave you vulnerable. Is it trousers? You said what is it?
It's just a waterproof coat. I've got a high-vis waterproof coat, but it's just a black coat to go under my body armour. The coat I've got is shower-proof, but not waterproof. And being in the north of the country, it gets very wet.
And this is to our point. You have uniforms not fit for purpose. Uniform that's supposed to be waterproof, but it's not waterproof.
The coat I provide is just shower-proof.
Why would you do that?
Yeah, it's not good enough. Definitely not good enough. Go back and just say, I can't wear it. It's not. It's just not. It's making me ill, or if it's it's just not doing the job it should be.
And if you feel like you're just a lone voice, go to your local Fed.
Yeah.
And then your local Fed can link in with us if they want to, because actually this is if you're not the only person.
No, you won't be the only one.
You're not the only person getting wet in this force, but people just put up with it. So it is important, and this is why it's so important to have a local level, a strong uniform board that feeds into decision makers and procurement but it has to have the voice of the individuals that are wearing it. For too long, uniform has been got where it hasn't really had the voice of individuals who are having to wear it. And I think that is really, really important. That's something that we're pushing. Once again, happy to, if you ping your details, we're happy to be with the local Fed, see if there's a uniform person on there and feed through so they can get in contact. Because what we don't want to do is you highlight something and like it's forgotten, because it's not. So please get in contact with us.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Cheers, John.
Thank you.
One more.
Andy.
Is that
Go on, Andy.
Is it Andy or
Is it Andy or Dave?
Andy or Dave?
Yes, Andy, can you hear me?
Hi, Andy.
Hello. Yeah, as everyone else has said, cheers for all your hard work so far. One of our main bugbears, certainly in Merseyside, is cargo pants.
Yes.
And going back and forth over Keeler pants and then trialling new pants, I think apparently from GMP. And at the moment, we don't know where we stand.
So,
have we decided on a supplier for the cargo pants, or is it still in discussion?
the transit
Charles done. Yeah.
is done. They've awarded options to certainly 2, if not 3. I've got copy. I've had them sent to me last week. You've seen them.
Yeah, really good.
Far better. And I absolutely understand the issues with cargo pants in Merseyside. Merseyside came up as one of the really high ones of negativity around uniform.
Yeah.
I think it was 72. 72 or 75.
Yeah, really high. Yeah, one of the highest.
Really high around that.
Yeah.
So there are options now. There are options for Merseyside to buy trousers that were 50%. 75%. I'm not sure if Merseyside were in the trial.
One of the highest.
It may have been. There may have been one of the 13. But there absolutely is an option. What we sometimes find is that it's really easy when you're not getting the kit you want to say the service isn't doing it. Well, the service is choosing not to buy that kit, but there's sometimes kit out there, or it's not that supplier. Trousers there is now trousers that are fit for purpose. So I'm happy to touch base with the local Fed, and even there's a YouTube principal there as well. More than happy to engage there, because trousers are so important, and we can see some of the medical challenges that they cause. So happy once again, ping us an email and we'll get back to them. We'll link in with the local Fed and see who's on that uniform board and what questions that they should be asking.
So
yes, appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, we've asked for spots for every single force, and we're just collating that now. We're over halfway, so we can absolutely put you in touch with something we're not going to sort of shy away from.
No.
This
is the first stop. This webinar is the first stop for us in regards to what is going to be our
regular
18-month, 2-year plan to really drive the change in uniform. So there will be some other touch points that we're able to discuss with people, but this is a launch pad for us. This isn't just a webinar with a survey and then it goes.
And you won't see us again.
We feel there's a real opportunity to push this and drive it.
Yeah. Thank you all.
Okay. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks everyone for staying. I know it's gone on a little bit longer, but we're really keen to have all those questions. Can you please take the time just to go on to that, share your thoughts and give us some feedback if you found this helpful.
Good comments only. I just like
but for us, this is absolutely a labour of love. I'm really grateful for Sarah and Belinda and the assistants in Claire who has helped us today to facilitate the webinar that you will be seeing. This is really important to us. Yeah. We're not going to drop it. We absolutely want to drive it forward because we need to on your behalf. So thank you again. Thanks for attending and enjoy your afternoon. Take care all. Yes.